Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. It's Thursday morning, 10 a.m., and you know what that means. It's time for the Her Investing Coffee Talk with yours truly, Jessica Perrone. Thank you so much for stopping by. And if you're watching this as a recording, thank you so much for stopping by. And please, as you come into the broadcast, please put in the chat your name, where you're from, say hi. And please participate. Participation is so much more fun. Well, the broadcast is so much more fun when everybody is participating. So join in the chat and definitely say hi and participate. So my classes are out for summer, but I have all sorts of like radio shows, TV interviews, and workshops showing up. So comment below if you want to be added to my mailing list so that you can see all of the upcoming events that I have. And this week has been amazing in Her Financial IQ. And yes, I know I kind of sound like a broken record, but every week there has been just so much positivity coming through. And it must be a result of all the things that we are doing and all the women that are coming here to learn the language of money and finances and investing. So this week I had the opportunity to meet Nicole Smith from the Happy to Help show. She's such a spitfire. I loved her. I love the energy. We talked about so many things and we went down so many rabbit holes that you know that I typically do. And so if you want to check out that recording, it is on my Facebook page. You can check it out, Jessica Perrone and Nicole Smith on the Happy to Help show. And then just this morning, really fun interview. The energy was amazing on Good Morning, on the New Jersey Morning Show. Thank you so much for having me on the show this morning. And I can't wait to see the recording of that segment as well. So again, if you want to check out the recordings, they are on my Facebook page. And the handle there is at HerFinIQ. I'm actually going to put that in the chat here, right here. It's at HerFinIQ. That's my handle, whether it is Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or TikTok. I started doing TikTok. Oh, yeah, that's a little crazy there. That's a little crazy. Let me know how I'm doing. I have no idea what I'm doing on TikTok, but I'm talking about topics, and I haven't done anything funny yet. But if you have some ideas for me, like DM me, tell me your ideas. I'd love to hear them. I'm sure there's a lot more people out there that are a lot more TikTok savvy than I am. So let me know. Okay, so let's get started here. So go ahead and grab your identifying investment sheet. If you don't have one, DM in the chat and I will definitely send you the link. And basically what the identifying investment sheet does is it allows you, let me just back up a little bit. When I started investing and trading, the hardest thing for me was figuring out what to invest in, right? And I went through this whole voyage. I went through fancy stock screeners. I went through fancy analysis. And I realized that I only wanted to invest in companies and stocks that I believed in. Now, there are other parts of this whole process, but it's step one in the identifying investment method that I've created. And in this method, what I'm encouraging women to do is look at their everyday life. Okay, look for products that they use. Think about how often they use these products, and then take it a step further, and then identify the company that produces that product, and then take it a step further and see what the stock ticker is for that. And then as we go through our process, we start identifying the sectors that these companies are part of, because we want to be diversified. And I'm actually going to bring up a reason for this diversification a little bit later, so definitely listen up. But that is the premise of the identifying investment worksheet. We're building this list of companies we believe in. We're cultivating it, right? We are diversifying it, and we are watching for, and we're getting to know these stocks intimately. We are getting to know all the news flow on them, all the stock prices. In our heads, we know if they are at 52-week highs, if they're at 52-week lows, right? And this is all things that are you learn along the process when you are starting to think about investing in these companies. So, so definitely grab your identifying investment worksheet. So if you hear or see any companies in the broadcast that interest you, add them to your sheet so you can start the process of identifying investments in your everyday life. Okay, so let's move on. I know that I talk about my Money Talks classes a lot, and I love this group of women. They are so amazing and inspirational, and there's so much vulnerability that is coming in the discussions, and it creates these moments that are just are amazing. I know I'm using the same word over and over again, but it's profound how letting women speak about finances freely without judgment can be so inspirational as a group as a whole. And that was really the premise of this program that I'm creating, whether it's the chats here or the classes or the panels or the seminars, creating a safe environment where women can learn about investing and money concepts. And I'm telling you, when I talk about money concepts, even as simple as budgeting, or, talking about different types of hardships that we've had, and then supporting each other to move on. Last night was the last class for the evening session for the spring. We're going to break out into focus groups and work on some worksheets. And then in the fall, we come back and start learning the language of investing. But the question I had for them leaving them, and I posed this question to them, I said, what is one small baby step you want to achieve this summer towards getting your financial ducks in a row? And as you know, the financial ducks I talk about on a regular basis are making a budget, identifying savings, paying off bad debt, establishing an emergency fund, and cultivating your credit score. These are the 5 ducks that I want women to get in a row before they start thinking about investing. Now they can start thinking about investing. They can start practicing the language of monies and investing, and they can start thinking about, potentially how they want to put their monies to work. But first, what we need to do is we need to get our ducks in a row before implementing our investment strategy. So with that said, some of the top answers were rebalancing budgets, cultivating credit score, building savings, and paying off debt. And I'm so proud of their commitment to getting their financial ducks in a row so that they can start building wealth. Because if you have bad debt, credit card debt that has 20% interest, 18% interest, 23% interest, you cannot be building wealth if you are in this cycle of debt. So that is one of the big things that I am a big proponent of, is getting those financial ducks in a row. So with that said, you guys can imagine, right, what a hard time I have with buy now, pay later concept. And we see it everywhere now. I even saw it on United when I was going to buy a ticket. I even saw in the checkout, buy now, pay later. And you guys can probably imagine how I feel about this, right? Can anyone imagine? Can anybody, right? And even, how you feel about this. I'd love to see it in the chat. But so you can imagine how I felt seeing this headline out of Apple this week. Did anybody hear this Apple news? Did anybody hear? Okay, so basically, Apple Pay Later was introduced Monday at the company's Worldwide Developers Conference as a part of the iOS 16 operating system, and will let customers split up the cost of Apple Pay transactions over 4 installments across 6 weeks. The program will start in the US at first, though Apple plans to eventually expand it in its newer financial services to more regions. Okay, so this is how it works, and this is from Seeking Alpha. So as I said, users are going to be able to split the cost of Apple Pay purchases into 4 equal payments spread over 6 weeks with 0 interest and no fees. Interesting, right? You're probably saying no interest and no fees. Right? Okay. The plan will be available everywhere Apple Pay is accepted in app and online, while upcoming payments can be tracked via the Apple Wallet. And then 3, if loans aren't repaid, Apple will no longer extend credit to those users. And 4, and this is another important point I want you to take into account. And this is all going to come back to the ducks. Though the company said it won't report missed payment, and though the company said it won't report missed payments to the credit bureaus. Okay, so number 1, staying within your budget and not living beyond your means. That's number 1, right? If we are trying to pay down debt, if we're trying to get ahead and start building wealth, do we want to be doing this, ladies? No, we do not want to be doing this. But not only that, cultivating your credit score is so important, okay? And these buy now, pay later programs actually do not report to credit bureaus. They don't. So whereas if you buy something with your credit card, right? And what we're trying to do financially, ladies, is we are actually trying to pay down our credit card bill every single month. That is your goal. That is your ultimate goal, okay? Live in such a way that you are able to pay down your credit card balance every single month and just watch your credit score soar. Now, you do need to have a credit card, though, to cultivate your credit score. I'm sure all of you have heard about those people that pay cash for everything, who are fiscally responsible, but have no credit score and therefore cannot get apartments, cannot get credit cards, cannot get loans, cannot get mortgages, and they need someone to co-sign, excuse me. So, I mean, I even have a friend who was telling me a story about her daughter, and this daughter actually has a paying job, right? But she believes in cash, right? She believes in cash. And because of such, does not have a credit card. And she went to go rent her own apartment, right? And the mom had to co-sign for her because she didn't have a credit score. So with the buy now, pay later, beyond just living beyond your means, right? We don't want to be doing that. Again, we want to be paying off our debts on a monthly, we want to be living within our means, excuse me. And we want to be paying off our credit card debt on a monthly basis. Okay, so these are the financial ducks. So you can just imagine how I feel about this. Yeah, this is, ladies, please, 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 please. Yes, please. Anyhow, but moving on from an investing perspective, I wanted to talk to you about how this headline actually affected some peers in fintech. Okay, so you have a big company, you have Apple that's getting involved in buy now, pay later. And there's other established companies that are already doing it. Okay, so some of these companies are like Affirm, and that ticker is AFRM. And then we have Klarna, excuse me, that's KLAR. And then we also have PayPal, and that's PYPL. Okay, so these are 3 companies that are also doing similar, buy now, pay later methodologies. So with that said, when Apple announced this and the financial news covered it, right? And the traders heard about it, guess what happened? These companies that were in the space, their stocks started to soften. Yes, their prices started to decrease. And that is because you have this big established company that potentially can get into their space and take revenue away from them, right? And this is how, financial news on one company can affect the stock price of other ones just by getting into the space. And I'm going to actually talk about something very similar to this in a little bit when it comes to Amazon. That's called a sympathy play. And this is a little bit different, but I definitely want to get into that. So tell me what you guys think about this buy now, pay later. Tell me, I want to hear about it from you guys. And also I want to hear about what you are doing this summer to get your financial ducks in a row. And what I was talking about with these ladies as well, when it came to getting their financial ducks in a row, is doing it in baby steps so that you achieve success. Because if you create a goal that's too large and you don't attain it, then you get disappointed. So what I really would like to see you guys do when you are thinking about these financial ducks, I want you to be thinking about the baby step to get there. So for example, some of the ladies, as I mentioned, said, I want to get my budgeting in order. Okay, so the number one thing that they might want to do is look at their wants. I'm going to look at how much I am spending on wants versus needs. Even that baby step, right? That's a baby step. That's an easy baby step that you can achieve, right? And with that said, if you attain that, you can feel happy, and then you take another baby step past that. Okay. Maybe you identify, maybe I don't need to do this. Maybe I'm over budget. Maybe I need to cut here. You can start tweaking, and you create these little baby steps, and you can celebrate these little baby steps along the way too. And when I talk about celebrate, I'm not saying, you cut X amount of money from your budget and now you're going to go out and buy a purse. No, I'm not talking about those celebrations. So what I'd like for you to do is think about ways that you can celebrate your achievements that is not in a monetary way. Okay, that's number one, like not in a monetary way. Maybe it's just like calling up a friend and saying, hey, I did it, let's celebrate, and them going, yay, I'm so glad. Or maybe even, maybe even share your achievement of a goal on my Facebook page, on my social media page, and we can all celebrate with you. Okay, we can celebrate your achievements. Okay, so that's what I would really like for you to do when you're thinking about the summer and getting those financial ducks in a row. So talking about getting your financial ducks in a row and talking about budgeting, it's been really hard to budget variable costs. Anyone else finding variable costs hard to budget? Oh, you're like, Jessica, what's a variable cost? I don't know. Okay, let me back up here. Okay, so when you are budgeting, there's fixed costs and there's variable costs. Okay, so fixed costs are costs in your needs bucket, right? They're the items in your needs bucket that don't change. Okay, so say your phone bill is the same, your rent is the same, your mortgage is the same, your car payment is the same, your insurance is the same. Like those are your fixed costs. Okay, now your variable costs are the costs that change from day to day, month to month, week to week. Okay, and one of those really big variable costs is gas and groceries. I find that it's been really, really hard to budget with those two variable costs. Anybody else having a hard time budgeting for this? Now, the reason why I was thinking about this was, how I've been reporting the price of my coffee, right? So this week, guess what happened? I went down the aisle, and remember last week how I was talking about my coffee was $10.99 a pound and how excited I was when I picked up a bunch of bags at $4.99 a few weeks ago, right? Well, guess what? Guess how much my coffee was this week? Guess how much? It was back to $3.99. $3.99 week to week. What a difference, right? $10.99 one week and then $3.99 the next week. How does that make sense? Well, it is in response to the grocery stores, right, and the producers having these supply chain issues, right? They're adjusting the price of the product depending on how much quantity they have, how much inventory they have. the prices of the coffee, how much they are selling, if they need to move inventory, right? So these are all the inputs that are going into the product, which doesn't help us with our budgeting, right? It does not help us with our budgeting. But imagine how hard it is for the retailers as well to organize their budgets and also their inventory. So it's no wonder that we saw Target have a surprise announcement this week of additional markdowns. Yes, ladies. So definitely check out Target. They are going to be marking down all sorts of stuff, right? And these are the details of it. And this is from Seeking Alpha here. And so they write, Target surprise announcements of additional markdowns to come as it seeks to offload excess inventory and cancel orders is yet another indication of inventory issues playing out across much of the retail space. Right? So that's what we were talking about, the inventory issues, right? And that might also be why I'm seeing such fluctuations in my coffee, inventory issues. 1 week it's $10.99, 1 week is $3.99. We're seeing these fluctuations in pricing. Okay, so back to Target. In an announcement on Tuesday morning, the retailer indicated it will invest to shore up supply chain issues and take significant pricing actions to move items off its shelves. And then, so they went on to say that that the consumers have been shifting away from higher margin goods such as kitchen appliances and TVs to basics like food and toiletries as discretionary spending takes a hit from the current inflationary environment. So what they are seeing is that they're seeing a shift, right? They are seeing a shift in what the consumer is buying. And they're like, oh my goodness, we have all of this inventory for all this other stuff, and we got to get rid of it because you know what? Back to school is coming, and you see, like when back to school comes, they have like all the notebooks and they have all the clothes and everything, and they need to make room for that, right? So if they have all this extra inventory, they need to move it. They need to get rid of it. Okay, so the CEO, Brian Cornell, came out with this quote. He said, "We did not anticipate the rapid shifts we've seen over the last 60 days." Yeah. And so he said that the challenges would persist as Target continues to set prices based on value and affordability. Yes. Yeah. So, us as consumers are not the only ones that are trying to figure it out for sure. And Mina actually has a really interesting comment in here. Thanks so much for showing up, Mina. She said, Target's announcement just made me think that they were increasing prices just because they had buyers. But now that people aren't spending, they have to bring the prices back down. Well, what's interesting, Mina, is that there is a margin, right? They have a margin that they like to set at. And what they can do is they can cut prices, so they cut their margins as well. So there is a margin that they do adjust. But, whether they were increasing prices just because they had buyers, I'm not sure about that, because you also have the competition, right? They don't want to be more expensive than their competition as well. So that would be the only thought that I would have on that, but really great thinking. I love when people contribute. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So what I also wanted to talk about from an investing perspective, right? So we are talking about Target. We're talking about their news. And so the Target comes out with these comments, financial news covers it. And then, I'm covering it for you guys so that you know that these price cuts are coming down the pipeline, and just start looking and maybe even call up Target. Hey, what's on sale today, right? And keeping an eye on how you can help your budget by picking up things that are on sale. Now, I do want to warned, do not pick up things just because they are on sale, right? We don't want to do that either. And I know when I go to Target, I don't even take a full cart anymore. I always take a basket, because guess what happens when I go to Target or I go to Walmart? Guess what happens? You fill up the cart, and they give you like those super-sized carts, right? So what I started doing was just taking the basket. Yes, and I'm not allowed, and I am a list, and I do not allow myself to buy anything that's not on the list or cannot fit in the basket. Fair? Does anyone else think that's a good idea? Well, that's something that, a little crazy me, I do. Yes, I do. But going back to the Target headline. So this is also an example of something called a sympathy play. So in investing in the stock market, when it comes to companies and news reporting on these companies, so this is a sympathy play. Typically happens as a result of another stock's earnings and or news. It can cause another stock or sector to move despite not having any news. It's moving in sympathy. Yes, that is what a sympathy play is. So the sympathy plays that happen as a result of this Target headline on, I believe it was on June 9th, was that there were two other companies in stocks, as well as other retail ones, but the two that I noticed were Walmart moved down, and that's WMT as well, and so did Costco. Costco also moved down in sympathy to this headline. So with that said, this is an example of why it is so important to diversify. It's really super important to diversify across sectors and industry groups, okay? Because if you have too many like companies in stocks in your portfolio and news happens in one of them that is negative, all of them are going to move down. However, if you are diversified and they are in different sectors, right? Say you have one in energy and then you have one in one of the consumer sectors, well, then energy has been, has been rallying significantly, right? You have a little bit of softness in your consumer sectors, and then it sort of balances off. Your loss is not so significant. So these sympathy plays can be. It's really good for you to know about the sympathy plays because they are just another reason why you want to make sure that you are diversified for sure. So moving forward here, and I'm going to keep today's broadcast pretty short, but I'm going to move on to the cool. Yes, it's a headline coming out of Ford. And the Ford F-150 Lightning will be a backup power broker. Yeah, isn't that neat? So basically what they are saying is that the Ford 150 potentially could be a backup power source for your house. I'm putting that headline in the chat there, and that's from greencarreports.com. And it's other people are thinking that it's pretty cool too. The sales of the F series pickups and the Mustang Mach-E EVs were both up last month from a year ago, and demand remains very high for new Ford models, including the Bronco and the Bronco Sports SUV and the small Maverick pickups. Now, what I found really interesting is what Ford is doing to combat disruptions. Okay. So we were talking about how inventory pains are affecting Target. We've been talking a lot, we were talking about it with my coffee, but this is how Ford is combating their disruptions. And so they wrote, ongoing disruptions to Ford's manufacturing have led to tight inventories at its dealers. In response, Ford has offered incentives to customers who are willing to place orders for their vehicles and wait for them to be built and delivered. Yeah, so you can pre-order things. And I'm actually seeing this pre-ordering concept pretty frequent now. I've seen it, and I heard about it here with Ford. I'm seeing it on even clothing websites. Anyone else seen this on clothing websites where they're like, pre-order this outfit or this skirt or this shirt, right? It's becoming more and more common to see this pre-ordering happening. So they went on to say almost half of Ford's retail sales in May came from customer orders placed earlier in the year. Yeah, so they are combating supply disruptions with the pre-orders. So moving on here, how many of you guys use Venmo? I use Venmo all the time. Anybody else here use Venmo? Whether it is tips for hairdresser, at the nail salon, you name it. I even Venmo my kids spending money. I do. I use Venmo all the time. Oh, like class gifts for the teachers, class gifts for coaches, birthday presents, you name it. I use Venmo all the time. And a lot of people use Venmo for their small businesses under the table. So this headline came out. This article came out of Bloomberg on June 9th, and the headline here is the IRS is coming for your Venmo income. Yes, so entrepreneurs and small businesses who use services such as Venmo, PayPal, eBay, and Airbnb are about to find their digital payments facing more scrutiny. Okay, so Bloomberg went on to say and to talk about what the specifics are here. They say, small business owners, prepare yourself for the era of the 1099-K. That's the tax form for disclosing transactions with services such as PayPal, Venmo, and Airbnb. Until this year, anyone with less than $20,000 in total payments typically didn't get a 1099-K, and thus, in theory, could avoid paying taxes on money earned on such platforms. But since January 1st, those companies have been required to report gross payments of more than $600 directly to the IRS. That means small business owners, as well as people who periodically empty their closets on eBay, yes, or even, guess what, Facebook Marketplace, will receive a 1099-K from any service provider where their income exceeds that amount. Yes, so watch out, make sure when you are using Venmo and when you are using services such as PayPal, Venmo, and Airbnb, that you are disclosing your income to the IRS. Yes, the interesting things that you learn on Her Fin IQ. Okay, so lastly, I guess this is kind of in the bizarre realm. I like to, do a bizarre headline. Today's headline comes out of the New York Post, and it has to do with Tampax tampons. Yes, and I think that we could only talk about it on this women's show, right? But Tampax tampons are currently hard to come by at grocery stores in many parts of the country. And you'll find Amazon sellers taking advantage of that shortage. So Procter & Gamble, ticker PG, is the company that sells Tampax. Oh, you were talking about this, Nina? You were? Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm so glad I'm on point with this. But yes, it is so messed up, right? Okay, so the Procter & Gamble is actually bizarrely blaming comedian Amy Schumer for a national tampon shortage, okay? So what they were saying is that Schumer appeared in an advertisement for Tampax, and they go on to say that it's America's most popular tampon brand, okay? Aiming to normalize conversations about menstruation in July 2020. Yeah, so we can, yes, we have a formula shortage, and now we have a tampon shortage. what is the National Guard going to do? I mean, like, how funny is that? Are they going to start flying in tampons from Europe? That's what they did for baby formula, right? The army actually mobilized planes to go get formula to bring to the States. Are they going to mobilize tampons? I know I'm laughing about it, but I do want to say there are all cotton alternatives out there that are definitely healthy for the vaginal health that you may want to identify, that you might want to look at and investigate as well. So I like to close out my broadcast with a little bit of inspiration. And today's inspiration is coming from Audrey Hepburn. The quote is, "Nothing is impossible. The word itself says, I'm possible." Let's try that again. Nothing is impossible. The word itself says, I'm possible. Yes, that's from Audrey Hepburn. And that is my wish for you, the possibility of a bright financial future where your financial ducks are in a row and the steps to building wealth are on the horizon. I am amazed at the community we are building of women committed to financial health, growth, and financial freedom. Financial freedom. You may be overwhelmed about getting those ducks in a row, but it is just baby steps. And I know you can do it. You're doing it just by being here today, just by watching this broadcast. And should you wish to take your money and investing journey outside the coffee talks, watch my interviews, see my panels, attend my workshops, and keep a lookout for my self-directed courses coming soon. I'm Jessica Perrone, founder of Her Financial IQ. You've been watching the Her Investing Coffee Talk. May the markets be in your favor. Bye now. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really, really appreciate it. Tell your friends, watch the recordings, binge watch me. See you next week, Thursday, 10 a.m. Bye now.